right, guys? Okay, we're back. All right, so topic of the evening tonight we want to be talking about, guys and gals, is one of the most underutilized tools for getting better at whatever it is, whether it's bow hunting, target archery, is just writing things down, right? I mean, having a plan, knowing how to navigate through the plan and progress through that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And to start off, let me get my color squared here. The number one thing is just having a goal in mind, right? So as you start looking at what your end goal is, looking at a big goal now, looking at your yearly goal, could be a specific animal you're looking to potentially fill a tag with this year. If you're on the tournament side, it could be potentially be a big tournament. So what you need to do is you need to keep that goal in mind. You need to have that at your forefront in your shooting log, okay? Now, when you start talking about goal setting, again, the important thing is having a big goal, having a long-term goal for the year. Second to that, what we want to start looking at is having smaller goals that you're going to be able to target along the way that are going to be able to build confidence and give you just give you a little bit added momentum as you're moving through your goals and progressing through there. So big goal, and even if you want to have a short-term goal, for example, maybe you have turkey season coming up, maybe that's something that's your short-term goal. Maybe you've got bear season coming up. So have a long-term goal and a short-term goal as you're starting to write your shooting log here. Second to that, as we start talking about what you should be putting in your shooting journey, your shooting log, this is something that as you learn to and progress through this, you're going to refine this. Okay, this is something that is not going to be the same for everybody. But let me go ahead and kind of read you through my first. This was yesterday in my shooting log. Okay, so I'm going to read you what my actual shooting log from yesterday was. My goal. I've got an aoudad hunt coming up here. I was supposed to go last weekend, couldn't make it. Other things came up, but I'm going to spend the last part of the month out chasing aoudad in New Mexico, free range aoudad. So my goal is to sneak into my middle third of my effective range and make a great shot on a mature aoudad. So that's my initial goal that I have set forth. As I start working into the next key critical component within my shooting log, it's record keeping, right? So as you start looking at what you're writing in here, you're looking at record keeping. So moving into my shooting log again from yesterday, I took 20 shots from a short distance, working on shot execution and shot rhythm. This is something that people blind bail, people blank bail, people use a string bow. This is where I was just strictly working on form and execution, making sure the rhythm and the timing of my shots was going on crisp, going on clean. That's what I did for the first 20 shots. The second 20 shots, I just shot indoors yesterday. So I took 20 shots from a kneeling position, about 17 yards. I personally feel the most difficult shot I can make in the field is from a kneeling position. Okay, so this is something that kind of checking out some of the feed here, guys. So anyway, as I start working on the difficult shots and progressing through my routine, that's what I took and I worked on yesterday. It was 20 shots from a kneeling position, and I just really worked on shot execution and form from that position. Finished out with a couple standing shots, and that's what I did. 50 shots. It literally took me about 25 minutes to get through my practice session yesterday. But you know, I wrote my goal down, right? So it started with writing my goal down, recorded my shots, and then working from there. The next progression to this is going to be your forecast. Okay, so as you start looking into the next practice session that you're going to be going into, you're going to take your initial practice session that you just got done with, you're going to write down what you did. Then you're going to go from there and you're going to look and forecast out to your next practice session. What did I feel I didn't do as good this time? What can I do better? And actually just, you know, maybe jot out a couple ideas. The practice routine is fresh. Everything is fresh in your mind. So this is the best time to really forecast out your next practice session. So as we move into my shooting log here, I put add more practice in the last third of my effective range. Continue to practice from kneeling shots. again, being into these situations when you're out hunting, I've taken more shots from a seated and kneeling position than a standing position at game animals. And it's something that most people don't realize, but if you were to just strictly go out and sight it in from a kneeling position or a standing position, I guarantee you your effective range is not going to be the same as it is if it's standing. So make sure you're practicing those. So the forecast is the third component in the process here. Again, this can be something where I had mentioned before on my actual routine and my record keeping. I was talking about shot rhythm. As you start going through the progression of your shot sequence and you're hitting all those steps in your shot sequence, you're checking every box as you go from one step to the next step to the next step, and then you get to that point where everything's starting to happen in rhythm. It's happening fluidly, cleanly, and your shots are breaking crisp, and you have a great follow through, and the timing and the rhythm is really good. As you start adding in aiming into that process, ideally you don't take your rhythm, it doesn't alter your rhythm too much. It should only take you an extra second and a half in that process to incorporate putting your pins and acquiring a target, identifying the sight picture you want, and then working back to execute the shot. So again, forecasting, that's really big. That's something where you can actually start to directly evaluate, okay, I know that I need to do better here, so I'm going to write it into my next practice routine. Before you start your next practice routine, you go back to your journal, your log, and you see what your forecast was from the previous session. You incorporate that in the next practice session. The last part, the fourth item, this is something that, you know, from a standpoint of when I coach somebody private lessons, when we do seminars, when we do workshops, so often the case is most times the shooter has pretty good form, sometimes really good form. Their shot execution can be really good. Their body alignment is actually really good. But it's the lack of confidence that they have in themselves that is the problem. They want confirmation. They want the approval. They want to make sure that somebody else is looking at them and saying, yes, this looks good, that looks good, you can tweak this a little bit, and this would be better. That's where the biggest issue I see in many people's game is lack of confidence, okay? And when you go out into the woods, the most critical component you're going to need when you walk out into the woods is confidence from any standpoint. I don't care if your effective range is 30 yards or 80 yards. If you don't have confidence, it's all for nothing, right? So here's the scoop. The last step and the most critical step, in my opinion, is a positive affirmation, okay? Now, what I do with a positive affirmation is I'm basically building the confidence within myself. I'm writing it down. As you write things down, really, I feel like you can comprehend them better, you learn them better, you actually integrate them better. The last thing I have on my positive affirmations here for my shooting journal for yesterday is, I will kill a mature aoudad. I will kill a mature aoudad. I will execute a great shot and kill a mature aoudad. Now, may sound kind of hokey to some people from a standpoint of the building confidence within yourself, but I guarantee you start writing things down and you start tracking what you're doing, directly tracking group sizes at different distances. You start working forward from that as you identify your goal and you start working through the process, and you give yourself the positive affirmation at the end of every practice routine. This is something that I really incorporated when I was shooting ASA a lot, and I was able to work through the semi-pro division and earn my way into the pro class. I was literally writing things down every time I would shoot my bow, sometimes twice a day. And when you start to convince yourself of all the positive things that you can do, that's when you're going to be able to start relating it out into the field. Okay, so it's kind of a little short topic today. Again, for these things, I just recommend you start writing things down, start tracking them. I mean, I've got a little notebook and I've got a bunch of them that I have piled up. The great thing is whenever I'm not sure about something, I can always go back to an old log from a year ago or a year and a half ago, and I can literally pick through some things and say, what was I doing? I felt like my accuracy was really good back then. I felt like my shot rhythm was really good. And what is it that I can do to get back to that point? So that's where these, I mean, you know, apps on your phone and all that is great, but it's not as good as actually writing something down. When you're actually, you got that mental connection with your hand and your mind, you're writing it down, I really feel it's more applicable there. So this is kind of the scratching the surface on this topic. This is a topic that we're going to get into further detail at our all-day seminar that we're sold out on our March 24th seminar. We've opened another date, April 21st. I think we've got 4 or 5 spots sold out on that one as well. This is one of those topics we're going to dive into a little further at that seminar. In addition to the online courses, I'm going to have essentially what we talked about here today, and then I'm going to show you how to refine and polish your shot journal from day to day to learn how to track and progress through that. So here's, before we cut out, I want to just once again say thank you for everybody for joining in, but I've got some giveaways. You know, I woke up this morning, it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. So I got up, I started writing things down, and the things that started coming to mind were directly about talking to everybody here today. And I just felt like what we have to offer with some of these workshops and courses and the Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge. I've got people messaging me from all over the country that they want to be able to come, or when are we going to travel to their events. For this year, we're going to be doing everything here in-house, and the reason why we're going to disclose to you later at a later date. But all of the 4 Alpha Bow Hunting Challenges are going to be at No Limits Archery. The Alpha Bow Hunting workshops right now are just scheduled for No Limits Archery. But there's a lot of people that follow us and support us that are from other parts of the country that I want to go ahead and right now, if you are, and even if you're just not from the Denver area, I want to pick a couple people, and here's the deal. I want to give you a free entry to the April 21st all-day workshop. It's a $150 value, okay? In addition to that, I'm going to comp your hotel room for Friday and Saturday night. So I'm going to pay for your entry into the workshop, and I'm going to get you a hotel fee if you got to travel, okay? So here's what you've got to do. You've just got to tag some friends on the feed here as to, you know, who you think can really benefit from what we're talking about here, what we're teaching, what we're coaching, and you know, tag some friends, and then we're gonna pick a couple winners. Here's the other giveaway we're gonna be talking about. So again, Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge, the 4 events are up. People are starting to pre-register. Last year we gave away over $26,000 in cash and prizes, okay? This year, I'm looking to dial it up. Anybody knows anything that the way we do things around here at No Limits Archery and with the Alpha Challenges, we try to take it big. We try to do it like nobody else is doing it, and this year's gonna be no exception. So we're gonna go ahead and dial it up a little bit this year, and I'm gonna go ahead and kick away a couple entry fees to either the first or second Alpha event. So tag somebody on the feed here that you think would benefit, or you know, just tag a couple buddies that might enjoy coming to one of the events, and I'm gonna go ahead and randomly pick the winners for the Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge entry fees. In addition to that, if you feel like if you're from out of town and you want to come into this April 21st all-day seminar, then tag some friends. Let me know where you're at. Let me know where you're going to be coming from. And like I said, we're going to be paying for a couple people's hotel fees. You get here, I'm going to put you up in a hotel. I'm going to, you know, once again, get you the entry fee into the workshop, and just going to come and partake in what we have to offer here. I really feel strongly about what we're doing and the message we're going to be relaying, just taking you from that middle ground of what is the philosophy and the mental approach and the structure and the plan of bow hunting, and we're going to try to fill that gap and make your foundation strong. So that's all we've got. Thank you guys for checking in. Appreciate all the thumbs up. Like I said, tag somebody. Let us know who you think is going to would really benefit from coming out to the workshops and the courses, and we're going to try to give away a few seats as well as some entry fees into the Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge. So I appreciate you guys checking in. If the feed is a little sketchy, again, I'm sorry. We're going to get the video up on YouTube here within a few days. So stay tuned. We got a ton of things coming, and these little short seminars and these coaching sessions are just scratching the surface. So we appreciate it. We'll check you guys later.